Hello! Today's video post comes from the Grand Canyon. You know, as we look at the Grand Canyon, you can see here it's just massive and huge, and there's a big gap between this side of the canyon and the other side of the Grand Canyon as well. It's the same way sometimes with your branding. Sometimes there are gaps in your brand, and you can have brand gaps. There actually are three brand gaps that many financial institutions have. First is the gap between your brand and your staff. There can be a huge gap there. Your brand may say, hey, we're friendly, we're awesome, we're all about service, and then your staff is not delivering on that on a regular basis. That's a brand gap. A second brand gap can be a gap between your brand and your operations. You can say your brand is all about technology, we're into technology, we're a great technology financial institution. But then your mobile app may be awful, may be terrible, so that's a gap between what you're saying with your brand and your operations. A third gap you might have in your credit union or your bank is a gap between your brand and your strategy. Your brand may say, hey, we are all about diversity and multilingual and Spanish type strategies, but then you look over here and on the other side, you have no bilingual staff, your website is not bilingual. That's a gap. Those are three gaps you can have in your brand. So the question becomes, how do you identify those gaps? Well, the best way to identify your brand gaps is to do a marketing audit, to really look at your brand from an outside perspective. Getting that outside perspective will close those brand gaps. That's the first question. Another question you might have is, well, how do we address the brand gaps? After you've identified them in a brand audit, how do you close them? Well, you come up with strategies and tactics on each of those areas to close the brand gaps. Doing so will help you do that. Again, here at the Grand Canyon, think about your brand gaps. Identify them and then close them.